Hi, I'm Lorraine Sish from stampwithlorraine.com. You're really going to flip over this card. There's a little pull tab that you can use to make that little front part flip open and create a fun interactive card for your recipient. So wait till you see this one. I have a few others to show you with my favorite, the teacup cup of tea stamp set and dies. It's fabulous. It's in the new 2022-23 annual Stampin' Up! Catalog. And you're going to just love this layout. So versatile, and I have a different stamp set to show you with it too. So I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in the US, and if you don't already have a demonstrator, I would love to be yours and help you out with your stamping journey. And you can go to visit my blog, stampwithlorraine.com, learn more about me and about Stampin' Up! And some other projects. Sign up for my newsletter while you're there. And if you don't have a demonstrator and you need a catalog, you can request one from my newsletter as well. Enjoy the tutorial, and don't forget to give me a thumbs up down below and a comment, please, if you can. It really helps me reach more stampers. So have fun. So for our pull tab flip card, we're going to first use the cup of tea stamp set and the coordinating dies that are in the new May 2022 to April 2023 annual catalog by Stampin' Up! And this begins May 3rd, 2022. Can't show you the inside yet, but if you would like your copy of this catalog and you don't have a demonstrator, I'd love to be yours. Please sign up on my email list. Go to my blog on the pop-up menu or on the sidebar. You can sign up for my newsletter and request a catalog. So I hope you would enjoy a lot of neat things in here. So we're going to be using the cup of tea and the coordinating dies and coordinating designer series paper. This is 6x6 stack of 48 sheets, 12 different designs that are double-sided. So there's really 24 different prints and varieties of little soft little prints, or some teapots, teacups, various colors, which really showcase some of the new in colors that Stampin' Up! Has for the new catalog. Let me show you some of those colors. First, I'm going to put these away. A lot of you have asked, where do I get my plastic sleeves that I keep the designer series paper in? I like to use Stampin' Storage, and if you look in this description box down below or go to my blog, you can find a link there that will get you 10% off your first order. And I also get some points for referring you. So if you are interested in the Stampin' Storage products, they're fabulous. I can certainly vouch for them. And also you can get 12 by 12 pockets as well, either pockets or sleeves. Sleeves are where you can kind of slip your paper in this way, or the pockets, you have 3 sides that are sealed and everything goes in the top. So they're both wonderful products, so whatever works for you is good. I think I prefer the pockets for the big paper so that they don't fall out, but this is nice, easy access, for the little guys. Okay, so here are the new in colors. We have Tahitian Tide, Starry Sky, Parakeet Party, Sweet Sorbet, and Orchid Oasis. Look how nice and bright those are. Oh my goodness, they really pop. And they coordinate so well with so many of our other colors. If you don't like so much brightness, you can coordinate it with some of our more subtle tones and find a lot of neat combinations with that. So we're going to be using some of this paper today. Like for instance, you can see a lot of these colors are in the designer series paper, but I'm actually using Petal Pink that coordinates with this. It's actually in the designer series paper. You see it on that little flower there. But so look how nice it takes such a bold, bright print, but then kind of tones it down with the more soft, subtle kind of the colors there. All right, so let's get started on making our flip card. Then I'll show you a couple other ideas that we can do with this as well. Okay, so we're starting off with our card base. I did a lot of the cutting ahead of time, die cutting and cutting the pieces so that I could show you the fun part, how to construct this flip card. So we have your regular card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Okay, and we're going to have it open from left to right. We're going to have a vertical card there. Then we have a layer of white, which is 5 1/4 by 4. And you can have the same size for putting on your inside as well. Because when you have a color, you want the white in there so that you can add a sentiment or handwrite and sign your name. Okay, so you'll need 2 of those at 5 1/4 by 4. I'm just going to put this one on the side for now. Okay, then you need a piece of DSP. And you will want this to be 5 by 3 3/4. All right, now you might notice I put a slit in here. That's what's going to hold our tab and help pull our card in and out. So if you have the classic label punch from Stampin' Up, it's now retired, but if you have that, this works beautifully. Holding your paper in the proper direction, up and down. If you have a print that has a definite up and down, make sure you hold it in the proper direction. You're going to come in from the right. You're going to push that all the way in so it hits the back. You're going to center it. You don't have to be exact, but try to center it as best you can. Up on the top and the bottom, and then you'll punch out that slit. If you want to be really exact, you can make yourself a template. So that's what I did here. I actually measured how far up and down I want this to be so I can get it pretty even. And so I don't have to eyeball it or guess it or make mistakes each time. So I made myself a template, which I would put over my designer series paper and then line that up with my template and then punch the slit from the designer series paper. And I've been using this all along. Okay, so that's kind of how I measured it in the beginning. I measured down and I measured left and right in the center. So, and you want the slit to be slightly more to the right and to the left. So that's when you push it all the way in, that's where it's naturally going to go. Now, let's say you don't have this. A lot of people don't have it. And you could say, well, all right, I can't make the card if I don't have the punch. Well, that's not entirely so. I'll show you how to cut that piece with your paper trimmer. So you basically just need a slit that this is going to go into. So if you take, let's pretend this is your designer series paper, 3 3/4 by 5. Okay, so we'll pretend this is your designer series paper. And you can take the left side of your designer series paper, line it up to 2 inches. Then with your cutting tool, line that up to 1 1/2. On your slide ruler here, you will see some measurements. Set your little guide, you have a little slit there, set that to 1 1/2, then close your little protective guide here and push it down so you feel you went through the paper. Then you're going to slide it down 2 inches, down to 3 1/2. All right. Then you're going to open it up and you're going to slide it over to 2 1/4. And you'll do the same thing. Start at 1 1/2, line it up before you close it. It's not going to be too bad because this is, if you make a mistake, because this will be covered. But you want to go from 1 1/2 down to 3. You don't want to cut too much because then your tab will wiggle back and forth. So you really don't want to do that. All right, so now you're left with 2 slits here. Now all we have to do is cut that on the top and bottom, and you'll have a wider space for your pull tab to go through. So just snip that, and then snip that. And then you have a similar slit to what that punch did. Okay, so if you don't have the punch, that's how you can do that here. And you can see that this will slide in nicely. With your card base, we're going to first adhere your white sheet down to your card base. Now, because this card is interactive, you really want to make sure that you use some strong adhesive. Glue is good, or use your Snail Plus, because when you have an interactive card, people are going to be moving it in and out and playing with it a lot, as they should. That's why you make it, right? So we want to make sure that it's going to stay together. You don't want somebody to be playing with it and then it pops apart, right? That would be a little embarrassing. All right, so maybe both parties involved. So now this will eventually go on top of there, but we're not going to adhere it yet. The other strip that you need is going to be a 6-inch strip in the same color as your card base, or you can have a contrasting if you want. I like it the same color so that it matches, but you can do any color you like. Pick out another color from in here and have it just coordinate. So this is going to be 2 inches wide by 6. And if you have a tag topper type of a punch, this is Delightful Tag Topper. This one unfortunately is retiring, so it's unfortunate because I do like this one. But with this and some other tag type topper punches at Stampin' Up! Sells, you can have this create a nice little fancy topper to different size widths. So this would be, I believe, 1 inch, 1.5 inches, and 2 inches. So it fits my 2 inches. I already did this one, as you can see. You would just push that all the way in until it hits the back here. And then you will punch it, and then you can see that's what I already did there. Okay, then what you need to do is to score the opposite end. Like I said, you can see I already did this, but I'll go through the motions. You want to score at 2 inches, the opposite end of your what you already cut for your tag, and then slide it over to 2 1/4. So you're left with a 2-inch square here and a little bit of a 1/4 inch little piece there. That's going to help make that flip. Okay, so I'm just going to put that aside for a moment, and then we're going to construct the focal point for our card. You can do pretty much any size you want on the front, but you just need 2 elements, one for the top that's going to flip over and reveal the one that's a little bit smaller underneath. So as long as the bottom one's smaller and the top one will cover it, then you're good to go. I've done this with different sizes, and I'll show you those as soon as we're done making this one. Basically, this will get centered on here. When we pull the tab and open it up, it will reveal the smaller one inside. So you can have different focal points, or different images on here. You can have a sentiment. You can have a sentiment on the inside. So you can really mix and match whatever you want to put on here, depending on what you want your card to say or what the pattern is on your paper. So what I used here were the second largest die from Stitch So Sweetly, which is also retiring. I'm sorry to be using all these things that would not be available after May 2nd. But I do love this one, and it gives such a pretty little, almost a doily effect, very soft and feminine to go along with this paper. But you can always just cut rectangles, or if you have some other fancy die cut that you like to use. So this is the second largest one and the third largest one. So these are approximately, and again, it's not going to matter if it's a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, but these are approximately 3 5/8 by 2 1/2. So if you just add 1/8 of an inch for what you're going to mat it on, you'll end up with 3 3/4 by 2 5/8. So this is the second largest Stitch So Sweetly rectangle die. The next one down, the white piece will cut to 3 3/16. Why it's such an odd size, I don't know. And then by 2 inches over here. So again, if you want to add 1/8 of an inch for your mat, that would be 3 5/16 by 2 1/8. But like I said, you don't have to measure. So if you're just cutting it, make it something easy to measure. Make it 3 1/4. So whatever's easiest for you. The main part is you need it to be taller and bigger than this 2-inch square here. And then you want the top one to be a little bit bigger than that. Okay, it doesn't even have to be rectangles. It could be squares, it could be circles, it could be whatever you like. So that's the fun of it. You can make it a lot of different ways. We're going to actually decorate this with, I'm going to glue this on, and we're going to decorate it with some of the dies from that cup of tea. I am a big tea fan, and I just love that set. I couldn't wait to get it in my pre-order, and I'm going to be definitely using it when I host some of my tea parties, and maybe some of my stamping events will turn into tea parties. Oh, I wish you all lived a little closer. You could come. Okay, so okay, I'm going to wait to this because I might be stamping on there. So, of course, you want to stamp first before you put it all together. In case there's a mistake, you can change it out. This, I'm just attaching some die cuts. So, if you notice on the stamp set, you have a lot of things here that you can die cut out. You can stamp these teacups and then cut them out with your die here and here. You can stamp the leaves and cut them out, which I will, or the little stems, which I'll be doing. These flowers are all one stamp and they're all one die, so you don't have to cut individual flowers out. So that's really cool there. The little lemon, you can stamp that and die cut it out, or you can die cut your little slice and then you have another piece that adds a detail. So we are going to do that. Here I die cut, oops, hello, there we go. Here I die cut the background and we'll put the little piece on top, and that will bring the detail in. Isn't that cute? So no stamping involved in that either. So just both of those were in Daffodil Delight, so a nice bright lemony color. All right, and then what's also really cool is you have a die that gives this really pretty leaf motif that you see in some of the stamps. So what we're going to do today is, I already cut, using this die, I cut my teacup out of the designer series paper. So you can see what size you want, but I cut this out of this little polka dot. I thought that was really cute. And then I die cut this detail out of some plain Tahitian tied cardstock. So, and before I did that though, I took some of our adhesive sheets to make this into a sticker, because once this is punched out, well, not punched out, but die cut, what's left is very small areas for your, if you were to glue it. And it gets kind of tricky and can get kind of messy, and I don't like when the glue seeps out of there. You could use a fine tip glue and that's good, but it does take a lot more time. So I'm going to use my take your pick tool and just punch those little guys out to get more of that detail. And I'll show you how to get the adhesive sheet on the back there. So I'm just going to have to pull off the back, and it turns it into a sticker. So no additional glue is needed. Okay, those will come off when I peel the back off. Okay, so you can see this little white piece on the back. I will just peel that off. And what's left on the Tahitian tied is sticky. So then all I need to do is stick that onto my teacup that I've already die cut out here. Okay, line it up nicely before you really decide to stick it down, because it is very sticky. Okay, so look how nice and cute that is, right? Let me show you how to do that. So we have our piece of cardstock from Tahitian Tide, and I cut a small piece that's going to fit the teacup. I want to put this adhesive paper on the back, and I'm going to cut it to about the same size as my cardstock. Okay, if anything, you want to go a little tiny bit less, because when you peel it off, you don't want the sticky stuff to go on your cut and emboss machine. So I'm going to cut just slightly less. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because you're not cutting all the way to the end anyway. You want to leave a little wiggle room. All right, so I'm just going to cut that off there. Don't throw this away. You can use that for something else sometime, I'm sure. When you need a little strip of adhesive, you can cut it down. I keep it in a little cello bag and I keep that cello bag in my 12 by 12 sheets. See, I even have some that already had some sticky on there. If I need to punch out some flowers, that's all ready to go. So I save my scraps, and I try to use every bit that I can. Okay, so that the adhesive sheets come in 12 by 12 sheets. All right, so you're going to peel off the top. It's a piece with the lettering. You don't have to worry too much if you can't remember which side do I peel off, because that's just going to be the easier side that peels off anyway. But what I like to do is I don't like to peel the whole piece off. I peel just a little bit and fold it down so that I can align this to my paper and stick it down, and then I'll pull the rest off, and I know it's already aligned. All right, then you'll just put your die cut on there, run that through your cut and emboss machine, and then you will be left off with the piece that I just showed you. Okay, so that's really pretty way to get some detail on your little teacup there. So now these other pieces, what I did was I stamped them. Oh, I need to clean up here, making a mess. I stamped the pieces that I need to complete the card on a piece of cardstock so that I could actually run some of these all at the same time. So I could do the stems, I could do the flowers, I would have to repeat it for the other ones, of course, and I could do the little tea tag. So I can run all those through my cut and emboss machine. This fits in the mini. I have it right here on my work table. I love it. And then I'd go back and do the other flowers. Okay, so just to save time, I've already done that, and I have them ready to go here. I use the colors Sweet Sorbet, Garden Green, and Crushed Curry for these, and of course Memento Black. So now we want to actually just design what will be our card front that goes over the designer paper. So we're going to kind of arrange, see what we want here. We're going to have our cup here, and I'm just going to slip this underneath to get an idea where I want it. And then we're going to glue the little flowers on randomly there, because I want my little tag to hang down. Okay, I could decide where I want that. I might want it over on this side a little bit, because I don't want to cover too much of that, but you don't even need the tag if you don't want. If you do, you can use this nice linen thread, and I like to put a little dimensional dot on the back of there. It could hold down my thread. And pop up that tea tag at the same time. So it's time for tea. And I'm just going to wrap that around. I cut that a little long, so I'm just going to trim it. And you can just put a little adhesive there to hold it down. Okay, so then that's going to go there. This is going to go in behind. So I'm going to glue this part down first because I want this to cover the edge. Okay, so we'll just pop that on there. Cover up with our teacup. And then I'm going to attach some of the flowers. I'll pop some up with dimensionals, but I love my take your pick tool for this little putty tip on the end here. This is great for picking up the little flowers because it's a little hard to pick that up and try to get some glue on there. So I like to just pop it on there, put a little tiny dot of glue, and then I could stick it down where I want it to be. Look how quick and easy that is. Just love it. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. You don't have to use all the flowers. I did not put this other lemon piece through my adhesive sheets, but I should have. So I'm going to just lightly try to dab a little glue on there, teeny tiny dots. Try to spread it so it's not a thick bead. Another thing you can do is you can take a sponge and sponge the glue on, because then you know you just get a little thin piece there. And I'm going to get my silicone mat so I don't get my work table too sticky. And oh my gosh, isn't that just so sweet? Just love that. And that I will put some dimensional dots on as oh, at the back of that. That's just going to pop up a little bit. Who likes tea with lemon? I use it sometimes, but I'm definitely not, no milk for my tea. Okay, we'll just, how should we put this? Down here? All right, we'll put it down like that. Okay, the masterpiece is complete. Okay, so now we can put our card together. Okay, and I will finish this part later, but I will show you how to construct the card. We have our, I'll put this together just so you can see. I don't want to confuse you. Okay, I'll put something fun in there, a sentiment of some kind. Or time for tea, you might want to put the time and date when somebody should come for tea. I'm going to start by putting these pieces on your strip first. Okay, so take your strip, and the smaller piece is going to get adhered to this 2 by 2 inch area. You want to go only up to that score line. So we're going to put adhesive on here because we don't want the adhesive seeping over to where it shouldn't be. So we'll put a little adhesive right here and center it how you like. And I'm just bringing my edge to that score line. Okay, don't go over it, just go right up to it. Okay, now here's the next tricky part. Okay, you can use Steel Plus for this, or you can use your tear tape. And I'm going to do that for here, just because I want to make sure that that's nice and strong, because this bigger piece is only going to be adhered by that 1/4 inch little area. So I want to make sure it's nice and strong, and my tear tape is just that size. I have dedicated scissors for sticky things. peel that off. And now this big piece is going to cover what we just put that sticky strip on. Now you want to center this as well and go up to the next crease. All right, so it's covering the lower part and we're only going up to that crease. So when you fold it back, you won't see anything on this side. So now we're going to construct this. So that's going to be your mechanism for pulling that flap over. So now we're going to put that onto our card. We want to feed this through the slit. And it's going to, we don't really need that on there right now, but we want to line that up with our designer series paper. Right, you don't want it too far over this way or too far this way. Okay, you want to line it up. And when you glue it down, now here's the tricky part. We only want to glue behind this part here. Can you see how when this flips, this is going to come away from here a little bit. It needs that space to be able to flip. If it were all glued down, it can't go anywhere. So we only want to put adhesive on this part here. All right, so again, I'm going to use my sticky strip right down that edge. Okay, peel it off. And before you commit to where it's gonna stick, line it up, center it with your designer paper, and then you'll push it down. All right, then you can practice. Did you do it right? Yay! Let's see, it needs that space in the back there to be able to flip. So this has to stay away. All right, so now when you put that back onto your card base, don't put glue on the pull tab because that obviously has to move, right? So you don't want that glued down. You can put adhesive all around on the DSP, but avoid being on that pull tab there. I'm going to put some right up to that slit, but be careful. You don't put too much. You don't want it to ooze onto the slit, and then your card will not be interactive because the tab won't move. Right, then just line that up on the white layer. And your card is pretty much done except for the inside. Okay, so I'll trim my ribbon. And that has a nice, pretty soft look to it. Very subtle. The paper is very busy, so a softer ribbon might be a nice thing. Your white inside, bring in a little design from the front. Either stamp a little something, maybe a couple more lemons or something like that to decorate your inside. All right, so I'll add something to this a little bit later. Here's another version of the teacup that I use the biggest Stitch So Sweetly rectangle, and then the second one down. So this one here is actually the size as the one on the front here. It covers more of the designer paper, so I chose a more subtle pattern for this. If I chose the teapots and the bigger piece here, then you wouldn't see so much of the teapots. So choose your size according to the look that you want. And then here is another one using a new set from the new annual catalog as well, and this is called Nature's Prints, and it has coordinating dies as well. And I also used the designer paper that's called Sun Prints. It has some beautiful ferns and deep colors and mostly a lot of blues, and reverse sides are in gray granite. So really nice. There's a stripe there, and you can see the reverse is gray granite here. So I just love this paper as well. So I made this one, this flip with those products, and you can see I made more of a square. This one I just cut. I didn't pre-measure anything. I just cut my white. I added the extra, eighth or quarter of an inch, whatever you want to put around there. And then as long as you make your inside a little smaller, then you're good to go. So don't worry so much about the exact measurements on this. It works. Okay, here I use the metallic woven ribbon as well. Right. Okay, so that's those. And then this was my original card with the teacup. All right, I used the green metallic ribbon on there, and open up. See, we stamped the branch and put a couple of the little flowers on there. Okay, so those are our designs for today. Hope you like them. I'll get them all in the frame here, and hope you enjoy the new annual catalog. Again, if you need a copy, sign up on my mailing list and request one when you sign up. So, and I will mail that out to you. Okay, happy stamping, everybody. Enjoy the flip card.